Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Human rights organisations say that 9 out of 10 people in dozens of poor nations could miss out on getting vaccinated against COVID-19 because rich countries are hoarding the vaccine. According to their analysis, rich countries have been hoarding doses of COVID vaccines, leaving few for those in poorer countries. The People's Vaccine Alliance observed that rich nations, home to 14% of the global population, had bought 53% of the total stock of the most promising vaccines as of last month. In this way, says the Alliance, nearly 70 lower-income countries will only be able to vaccinate 1 in 10 people. The US Supreme Court has rejected a challenge against President-elect Joe Biden's victory in Pennsylvania, confirming the vote's certification in the state. Republicans in the state wanted to overturn certification of the result, but justices rejected the request in a one-sentence ruling. It is a blow to President Donald Trump, who has previously suggested without evidence that the election result would be settled in the Supreme Court. Mr. Trump lost his bid for re-election last month, and since then he and his supporters have launched dozens of lawsuits questioning the vote results. None have come close to overturning Mr. Biden's victory. Indian authorities say they have found traces of lead and nickel particles in blood samples after hundreds of people were hospitalized due to an unknown illness in the southern state of Andhra Pradesh. Several teams of doctors are investigating the death of one person and hospitalization of more than 400 in the past few days. The unknown illness infected more than 300 children, with most of them suffering from dizziness, fainting spells, headaches and vomiting. They were tested negative for COVID-19. Several Andhra Pradesh officials said a possible cause of the illness could be poisonous organochlorine substances, which are commonly used in pesticides or in mosquito control. Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has started a 2-day visit to neighbouring Kenya, his first foreign trip since he announced the completion of a military operation in the northern Tigray region. Upon his arrival at the Kenyan border, Mr. Abiy called for peace in the region in a public speech with Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta. The two leaders are due to inaugurate and inspect infrastructure projects. The two countries enjoy warm relations and their leaders have met several times before, but clashes between communities residing at the common border with Kenya are not unusual. The perennial conflicts in the area will be among issues the two leaders will discuss in their meetings. Australian police have arrested an 18-year-old man who has allegedly expressed interest in committing a mass casualty attack motivated by right-wing ideology. Police said they expected to lay charges against the man. It's after Australia has been on heightened alert against the threat of homegrown radicals. There have been several lone wolf attacks in the area in recent years, among those the killing of 51 Muslim worshippers in New Zealand last year by a white supremacist. People on board a Royal Caribbean cruise to nowhere have been told to stay in their cabins after a COVID-19 case was detected on board, forcing the ship back to port in Singapore. One of the so-called cruises to nowhere, much-hyped cruise trips with no destination port to keep with travel restrictions, has apparently backfired, and one single COVID-19 case found aboard has now forced nearly 1,700 passengers into isolation. Passengers and crew will stay on board in their rooms until contact tracing is complete, and they will all undergo mandatory COVID-19 testing before leaving the terminal. And finally, a rescue operation in Kenya has successfully saved a number of giraffes stranded on an island after heavy rains caused flooding. This is a rare breed with only 3,000 left in Africa, of which 800 of them are in Kenya. Due to rising water levels, many were in danger of drowning, so conservationists from the Kenya Wildlife Service mounted a rescue operation. They used a custom-made steel barge to transport the first of the giraffes 4 miles to its new home. The move will give the animals protection from poachers and from predators. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.